Lacey. Welcome back to counseling. Last time we talked a lot about just different feelings of being pulled back from home into now. And we also talked about different reasons that you can get plugged in and with school and being here present. So, what are you wanting to talk about today?
Yeah, I think I've done a pretty good job of this week of just kind of being more social and um, just kind of being out there, and so it's been nice. I have been kind of what we were talking about of just like being in the union more and spending more time with friends and kind of making those connections. I think for me, like it takes a long time to do that. And sometimes I forget that. And when it doesn't happen right away, I'm like, what's going on? But just like being in that of like, oh, well, you can just hang out with people and not be their best friend right away and stuff like that. So I've kind of found people that I'm starting to enjoy and hanging out with them more.
It sounds like you're having a good week from what you said in the last time we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of scared. I feel like sometimes for me, I kind of go back and forth between like having good weeks and feeling good about where I am, and then other weeks where I'm just tired of it or just kind of like fall back. And so sometimes like I talk to people and they're like, how are you? And I'm good, and then the next day, not really, so I'm kind of nervous about that, but so far I'm doing okay this week.
That's exciting. It just sounds like you are a little worried about messing up, even if that is a good word for it. But just not being able to be, I guess, like you said, the best of friends, but being able to have that good relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think too, just because I've made so much progress, like sometimes I think that it's going to keep going, and I forget that sometimes you do kind of go back in that. And so I don't want to get like unrealistic expectations of how it's going to be from now on.
Yeah. Sounds like you might be even holding yourself back a little bit from what that could happen of that expectation of somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've never thought about that of just like, I think sometimes I get caught up of how things have been, and like you said, I'm holding myself back too in that of just thinking, oh well, you don't know it's going to be like this next week, or you don't know that you're gonna. But instead of just kind of doing it and making it be like that, I guess.
Yeah. Sounds like you were able to see like the difference between you're living in the past from what you just said, but now you're excited for the upcoming weeks because but you're still struggling with that the past, but still wanting to be able to meet those new friendships.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've kind of with that, like with my family and friends at home too, I've kind of found ways of still communicating with them and still being friends with them, but without feeling, I don't know, I still feel a little guilty of just kind of, I feel like moving on without them, and they are all kind of there wanting me to come back, but I think it's best for me to still have that communication with them, but also move forward. So it's kind of both of like, I know that I need to spend more time finding connections here and schoolwork and things like that, but also still communicating with them.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think it's cool though because I've seen like parts of different relationships, how they have helped me to grow here, of just like how I've had friendships with my high school friends, and then kind of seeing that like you can still make strong connections with other people without kind of ditching old connections.
Sounds like you are finding a good balance of old relationships, but you're being able to find those new ones here on campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they even sometimes we hang out with like my new ones here and my old ones, and kind of joining that group is fun and it's good.
Yeah, that's encouraging to hear, and it sounds like you have a good idea of how to incorporate the both of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's nice being in this environment too. In like my high school friends, none of them are in college, and none of them are kind of on the same path that I am. And so being in a Christian school too, and where I can talk about my faith, and I've never had that before. So that's interesting of finding new friends, but also like different friends of different ways that we interact. And also with school, like it's a very encouraging environment of like people are encouraging you in your schoolwork and also in your faith, and it's different, but I'm liking it.
Sounds like you have a good idea of a new experience, like you said. So tell me a little bit more about when you say finding friends of different religion or faith. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So none of my friends in high school were Christian, really. Like my high school was not a very Christian school with a lot of Christian people, and the ones that were didn't really talk about it, and it wasn't something like big in my life, and I kind of was out of just like didn't know how to communicate all of those things, and then with schooling too, a lot of my friends just didn't really care, and they didn't want to go to college, and they weren't really interested in high school. And so now that I'm here, I'm realizing that it's good to have friends that and people in your life that are kind of on the same path as you, that can encourage you in that. It's been really nice. I think that's like sometimes helping me to be with them more too, because we're just kind of on the same, like, just easier to hang out with them for longer, I guess, too. I think I didn't realize that sometimes I didn't want to be around people as much as I did, not because I needed alone time, but just because I didn't really enjoy being around them. So I like kind of found that of, I think sometimes you need to actually enjoy being around the people that you're with. So
yeah, that's important. And you mentioned, like, you had said you noticed that you spend a lot of alone time whenever it was just with people that you didn't like to hang out with. So is that getting better for you whenever you said, like, you noticed the alone time? Tell me more about how that's going right now with the new friends that you found.
Yeah, I think I am still kind of in that part of, like, when I am alone, I tend not to like it, but it's kind of more going like different times of, right now it's kind of just happening at night, whereas before I was in my room all day long, like just went to class. And so I've started doing more things with people and spending more time with them during the day, and then when I get home it's still kind of hard, like, of just feeling lonely. But I think making connections and taking the time to actually let people know me will help with that. I just need to really realize that it does take time, and sometimes I forget that. I think it's hard too, because I know that for some people it doesn't take as much time, and I think sometimes I look at that and think that that's how it's going to be for me, when I don't know why it takes me so long to like trust people and let people into my life, but when I do, it can be pretty strong relationships. I just need to wait for it, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like you've noticed the growth that you've had since our last counseling session, which is great. And you had mentioned that you had said, trying to remember what you said, but you had said like nighttime has been getting worse, so it sounds like the day's getting a little bit better, which is exciting, and like that's good.
Yeah, and it's really nice too, because that was one thing that I was seeing of when I came here. I feel like I lost a lot of who I was, but in like hobbies and just things that I like to do. You know, I love being outside, and I love doing just things with my friends and just having fun. And I feel like I put a lot of myself on hold when I came here, and I'm realizing that it's like I don't need to do that, and I can still do that. And so when we were talking about like the days being better, like I'm doing those things and realizing that I don't know, I'm becoming more of who I want to be in that. Which is also helps with making friends. Like it's kind of hard to make actual strong connections when you don't even feel like you're yourself, you know? So when I'm like, feel like I'm me, I feel like my connections with people will be better and more real, you know? Like I don't want to make friends with people and what I'm showing them isn't who I really am, because then I feel like the friendship feels fake. But so that's something I need to work on.
Well, it sounds like it's easier for you to make friendships whenever you have when you're feeling like yourself. And so that connection of, I know who I am and how I want to be, and then it's easier. So it sounds like it's just harder for you when you're not yourself. It's harder to get out of your room and make those friendships.
Yeah, that's really, that's exactly it. Because I feel like when I do get to those times of I just feel like I'm not doing anything that I want to be doing or that I should be doing, or any of that, I don't want to work on being with my friends, because I don't want them to see that side of me, because that's not who I am or who I want to be, and I don't want that to be how they perceive me, I guess.
It sounds like you are wanting to be just this almost like a perfect person for them to see. Oh, like Lacey, she's great, but you don't want to show that other side to other people.
Yeah, that's kick in the face right there. And then it's hard because I know that we're not perfect, and I know that no one's perfect, and it's just like I don't like to be vulnerable in that way, I guess. And so I keep, and just how you said it, I said that it's not me, but it is me. It's just some of it anyway. It's just like that side of it is different, and it's something that I don't want to show as much than the like happy fun I see, you know. So I think just finding friends that I can share both with would be good. Yeah, I never. It's like finding the like in between like being a perfect person, like you said, and I feel like I don't want to be a burden to people, and like I don't know. I feel like sometimes,
Sounds like you don't want to be a burden to others and putting your problems, and then the full self of you on other people for them to see and to know.
Yeah.
Sounds like almost you're even a little scared to show that side of what others might perceive of you.
Yeah. It is scary, and I've never really done that before, and I think that comes with my high school friends too. That was just all my friends that I've had. I've never had that, so it's like I've never done that before, and it's scary. Another thing is just a new thing that I want to do, and I know that it's good, and I know it's good to let people in and just have those strong connections, but it's hard for me.
Yeah, what I hear is vulnerability is difficult for you.
Yeah. And I'm very good at, like, I don't want to say I'm very good, but I like letting people come to me with theirs, but I never do the same. And so, that's very contradicting, I think.
Almost like you want people to be able to come to you because you want them to know that you're there for them, but you won't let yourself let other people be there for you.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was kind of, last week we were just talking about a lot of just me wanting strong relationships with people, but not taking a step. And I think that's part of it. It's kind of, I don't know how I can say I want strong relationships and then block people out from knowing me, It's like one-sided almost.
Sounds like you like to be able to meet the needs of others, but that vulnerability keeps you away from letting others see that whole side of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing that just is kind of hard because, like, I do, like, have a lot to say, and I keep that in my head a lot, and that's, like, when I'm alone and I do think about all of that, like, I think that's why, I don't know, I'm like, I want to tell people those things, but I can't, and it's just, like, in my head, and that's, I think, where it gets, like, why can't you just tell people that instead of just thinking it,
Sounds like something internally is holding you back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never, like, cared really what people think about me, like, it's not like I don't think, like, they're gonna judge me, I'm like, whatever, like, you think whatever you want, but I don't know.
Sounds like probably kind of scared, like we talked about earlier. That vulnerability, holding yourself back, not wanting to get hurt, even maybe even past relationships that have done that.
Yeah, I feel like it's just something that I've never done, and I've never really wanted to do. Like I've wanted that, but I just wanted the relationships without having to deal with the, like, getting there, like, it's hard and it's scary, and but yeah, I think it just takes me a long time to trust people too and see that they care and even more listening and, you know, all of that. I just feel like sometimes I just don't want to talk about anything like that with people.
Sounds like you like the result of that friendship, but you don't like to have to put it in the work, like you mentioned.
But it's like we were talking about earlier, very one-sided of like when people don't put in the work to me, like for me, I'm like, well, what are you doing here? Like, you know, if you're not going to do that with me, then you really want to be my friend. But then that's what I give to other people. So it's like, why do I expect any different from them? You know?
Well, it sounds like you recognize that. Like you recognize what you're doing, and
Mhm.
you wouldn't want to be reciprocated that back.
Yeah. I think it's hard too, of just starting conversations like that. You know, not many people talk like that a lot. You know, so just kind of finding a balance of just both of, you know, being able to have fun with people and sit with people and just have casual conversations, but also checking up on them and also me telling them things like, you know, not even just that, but
Well, it sounds like you have a lot that we're going to work on this week, which is really exciting. And you had mentioned you are wanting to work on a little bit more about being able to be, you know, the two-sided of if they give me something, I should give them something back. And like I want to be treated the same way. So I'm looking forward to that, Lacey, and I can't wait to see how that goes to talk with you next week. So thank you. Okay, I'm really hoping that
your days.
I didn't even notice it.